Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Johnson, and this is the Perpetual Chess Podcast. On Perpetual Chess, I have weekly conversations with the chess world's best players, promoters, and educators about their lives, careers, current projects, and best practices. Perpetual Chess is brought to you through the generosity of its Patreon and PayPal supporters. For more information, go to perpetualchesspod.com. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Perpetual Chess. We have a very exciting guest this week. He was a top 20 player in the world. He's been Ukrainian national champion, many other honors as a player, but more recently he's become better known for some other things. He's a chess trainer, as we will talk about in detail, and he's also a chess author. He's written 4 chess books, including the excellent recent book, Coaching the Chess Stars, which I'm sure we will talk about a decent amount. He's also coached the Ukrainian and Dutch and BeloRussian national teams. He's coached league teams, worked with elite players such as helping Korchnoi and Karpov, and more recently GMs Anish Giri and Wesley So. So I'm sure this should be a fun one. Should be a lot of interesting things to talk about. So GM Vladimir Tukmakov, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm here.
So how's everything in Odessa?
Everything is okay. It's a summer, the best time in Odessa.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. As I said, as I was telling you before we recorded, I've never had the pleasure, but of course, others can find about Odessa in other ways. We've got to talk some chess. So as I told you before we were recording, I recently finished Coaching the Chess Stars. I really enjoyed it. For listeners, it's a great mix. It's one of these books that has like behind the scenes information and background information, but also great chess content. I mean, there's also game snippets of the various players that you've had the pleasure of working with over the years. And you've talked about your chess career in the past, your playing career, and then this was sort of the book about your coaching career. So my first question for you, Vladimir, is at what point did you have the idea that you might want to write about this experience?
This book, Coaching the Stars, has kind of prehistory. My first book was written exactly 10 years ago. And I thought that it will be the first and the last book in my life, because the idea was to summarize, let's say, my chess career. And I thought that it was very good point to write this book, because I finished my chess career as a player. At this moment, I mean 10 years ago. And I started a little bit too late my chess career as a coach, as a captain. I was invited from time to time as a second for good or very famous chess players. But I started my professional chess career, let's say, in 2004, when I became a captain of Ukrainian team. And we surprisingly won Olympic gold in Calvia in 2004. And it was a great success, of course. And at the same time, it was a great surprise because our team was very young. And it was the first time when Ukraine won Olympic gold. So I was very excited with such a beginning of my new professional chess career. But 5 years later, it became clear that Ukrainian team didn't repeat success. And I became 5 years older, and I thought that it's a good time to write a book, because I was quite a good chess player, but I wasn't really a star. And I think that when really great players like Kasparov or Karpov, they write a book, it's very interesting, of course, but it's not very instructive for the chess players because they are genius and the readers are not. So, okay, what I as a reader can take from Kasparov or Karpov, let's say. They are genius, I am not genius. They are world champions, I am not, and I never become world champion. And I believe that it's much more constructive is a book of chess players who had real problems in his chess life, like me, for example. And so it was an idea to write this, the first and the last, as I thought, book. But suddenly, it was exactly 10 years ago. And suddenly, after I published this book in Russian, exactly in the next year, we won second time. I mean our team, Ukraine, won second time gold medals in Khanty-Mansiysk. And then something happened. I became a captain of super chess club Sokar with great stars, and I spent 6 seasons with this club. A lot of famous grandmaster and really stars were in my team. Then I became a trainer and captain of Azerbaijan team with Gashimov, Mamediyarov, Rajabov. So I spent with the team of Azerbaijan 2 years. Then I moved to Netherlands and became a captain and coach of Netherlands team. Then suddenly I was very lucky to have very talented pupils, or I don't know, pupils maybe is not the right word. Very great talents. Anish Giri, I worked with Anish more than 2 years, and during these 2 years he made a huge progress. He reached the 3rd position in the world rating. He qualified 2 candidates. Then I worked 1.5 years with Wesley So. He has made almost the same. He reached 2nd position after Carlsen and also qualified 2 candidates. So, it was absolutely new experience, and I decided that it's a time to write the new book about continuation of my chess career as a chess coach and the captain. So it's, but I should say that in between these 2 books, I wrote 2 more books, Modern Chess Preparation and Chess and Bluff in Chess. So writing the books became like a kind of routine for me. So it wasn't so difficult as the first one. I mean, the first book.
Yeah, and they seem like vivid experiences. I mean, to travel with GM Anish Giri to some of his tournaments, and to as you mentioned in the book, mostly work via Skype with Wesley So, but to eventually meet him. I mean, these are people that all of us chess fans read about and follow so closely. So to be up close, I'm guessing it made a pretty big imprint in your memory. But did you also take notes? Did you know at the time this is something I'll probably write about?
No, I didn't think about it, but from one moment, I mean maybe in 2014, I started to make some notes, just because the human memory has his weaknesses. So just not for the future books, but just for myself. And of course, when I decided to write a book, it helped me a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I thought maybe there's so much from this book, and I know we can't talk forever. So I thought a useful way to approach it might be if you could just share some of your memories of some of the players you worked with. And again, listeners, I encourage you to read the book, because we'll only be able to scratch the surface of your memories. But why don't we start with Grandmaster Korchnoi, who you helped in the candidate cycle?
Yes. But as I told you, I was a playing grandmaster. At this time, it has happened, I believe, in 1991 in Vacanze. I played in B tournament. It was a bad time for me. I mean, as a chess player, I played in B group, hoping to qualify to A group. And at the same time, candidates matches were played in Vacanze, and Korchnoi played against Sachs from Hungary. And at one moment, the second of Korchnoi, Dmitry Gurevich, my good friend, he came to me and asked to help Korchnoi for the next game, because it was a free day in my tournament, and Dmitry had to go to USA. Okay, I agreed, because I played badly in my tournament. I lost all my chances to be the first, and it was the only goal for me in B tournament. And so I agreed. At this moment, Korchnoi was losing 1 point, and the match was very short, so he was in very critical situation. And we prepared for the next game. He played with white, and it was. He played, I don't know, it was maybe fifth game. So he played already 2 times English opening. So it was predictable. The opening was predictable. And we were working all the day, analyzing all kinds of this opening. Korchnoi was, it's very easy to calculate, he was 60 at this moment. So he was old guy for chess.
Right.
Yeah, but he surprised me a lot. Of course, I knew him very well. I played a lot of games with him. And honestly, I didn't at the beginning, I didn't respect him very much as a player, because I had a very good score against him. I didn't have problems. But of course, he became much stronger after leaving, after immigration. Of course, he played excellent chess in 66, 67, 68. So, but okay, it was 91. But I was very surprised with his energy, with his love for chess, his creativity. So I was really surprised. Okay, I'm 15 years younger, but I didn't have such an energy. I didn't have such a love for chess. And okay, so, and he won the next game. He won the next game. Then my tournament finished. And his match didn't finish because the score was equal. And they should play tiebreak. And he asked me to stay a few days more and to help him for the tiebreak. And I've agreed, of course. And he won the tiebreak, but not without luck, big luck. But, you know, Korchnoi believes in such things, you know. If I help him, if I was with him in very difficult moments of his match, he believes that I can bring him luck, you know. I can bring, or I can help. I can really help him. And he invited me to help him in the next match against Timon. So we continued our cooperation, but you know, when I came to Switzerland for the training session, it was completely different Korchnoi. In between, I mean, after vacancy and before this session, he played a lot without success. He was very tired. He lost his energy. So I was very disappointed. And the problem that he promised to play in Bill after our training session. So he was going to play in Bill. I was going to play in Bill also, but in open. Then we have a few days more, and then we had to travel to Brussels for the next match. But I thought that he had no chances at all in his conditions, in his present conditions. So I proposed him to not to play in Bill, to take a rest. And in this case, I believe that maybe he has some chances. Of course, he didn't agree. But then I talked to his wife, I explained the situation, and at the end, he refused to play because it was a big stroke for the organizers, because the tournament partly was dedicated to his 60th birthday. But okay. He took this decision, but it didn't help. He lost to Timon without real chances. It was very bad time for him. I believe few years. And then he started to play better, but it was very, very bad time for him. And a few times more we continued our cooperation, but it wasn't serious anymore.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously a living legend in his enthusiasm for chess and his personality, both the good and bad elements of his personality, legendary in the chess world. Where I mean, he's been known, in addition, obviously for all that he achieved over the chessboard, for being sometimes prickly when things didn't go his way over the board. Did you see that side of him working on his team?
No. I believe that we played maybe around 15 games. And of course, I knew about his bad habits, let's say. But with me, it never happened. And also in these two matches against Sachs and Thiemann, he was also very, very, very correct. But of course, I agree. I know about his dark side, let's say. Mm-hmm. But with me, he was very correct always.
Okay. That's interesting to hear. Yeah. I mean, obviously a man of many facets. And someone that obviously is probably even more legendary in the chess world, although I haven't had the chance to talk to as many people who work with him directly, is former world champion Anatoly Karpov. So you helped, you were one of the members of his team in the 98 World Championship, FIDE World Championship against Anand?
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
It was very, very interesting experience, but it was surprising that it was the first time of our cooperation and my participation in his team, because we knew each other from, I don't know, from 1970 maybe. Or even before. But we first time we played, it was 1970 championship of USSR. Almost every strong chess grandmaster sometimes helped to him, because everybody was in his team. Somebody on constantly, sometimes some from time to time, but almost everybody. Also he liked Odessa very much, and he had a lot of training sessions in Odessa. And I visited him many times. We played blitz, we played cards, we played billiard, and etc. But I never was in his team. It was I didn't like to be in his team, honestly, at this time, because everybody was. But in the depths of my heart, I was a little bit surprised. But it was 1998. It wasn't, Soviet Union didn't exist anymore. So it was a completely different situation. He wasn't anymore a symbol of USSR, but he was great player, Anatoly Karpov, as a person. Mm-hmm. And we always had very good relations. My daughter at this time lived in Lausanne, and the match was also in Lausanne. So we agreed that I'll be in his team. But I didn't present during training sessions. So I joined the team already in Lausanne. And it was a little bit strange situation, because if you remember, Anand won World Championship, knockout World Championship. But Kompomanis and FIDE took a decision that the winner of this World Cup should play against Karpov. So, and the match started, let's say, maybe 3 days after Groningen, I believe.
Yeah, just unbelievable that he had to play under those conditions.
Yeah. Of course. Okay. Karpov didn't know his opponent, because till the very last days. But okay, he was very fresh, and Anand won, I don't know, 6 or 7 matches. And of course he was very tired, and of course he needed time to rest. So okay, Karpov had huge advantage, and he had huge advantage in the match. He was leading all the time. I mean, all the time. It was very short match. I believe it was 6 games match. But suddenly Anand won the last game. Karpov lost the last game. And Anand tied the score 3-3. And they had to play tiebreak. And of course, Anand was already a huge favorite in this tiebreak, because he was a specialist in rapid, and also he had psychological advantage, as you understand. So the situation was very bad. And it was very, very, very funny story. It was, let's say, team meeting after the game, and everything went as usually. Everybody should prepare for the next game, and etc. But I was the oldest guy in this team. I was maybe the most experienced guy in this team, and I thought that I had the right to say something. And I told to him that I believe it's he shouldn't prepare for the tiebreak. He should just to take rest, to go to restaurant, to take some wine, to relax, then to take a douche the next morning, to have a walk, and just to play. And this is the only chance to win. In fact, this is the only chance. The only chance, maybe not to win, but to fight at least. Okay, he didn't like my advice at all. So it was, we were a little bit fighting. I mean, on words. Then in some time, I told that he should play the sharp opening. He refused. He told that this is bad variation. I proposed to play. We played this opening. I won 2 times. He was very angry And of course, everybody was absolutely silent. I talked, and everybody was shocked by this scene.
So,
okay,
Vladimir,
he left.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to cut you off, but just to add a little more color, do you mind sharing who else was on the team? Who else was there?
There were his constant, his trainer was Mikhail Podgaets for many years. Also from Odessa, my good colleague and my good friend. Then Alexander Onishchuk.
Yes.
Then
Ukrainian, now American.
Then Ukrainian,
Yeah.
and he was very young. It was more than 20 years ago, so he was very young. And who else? Morovic from Chile. A little bit strange company.
Okay.
Strange company, but okay. Okay. So he left very angry, and we left in the room, four of us, and we didn't know what to say, what to talk, what to do. And few minutes later, his wife Anatoly came and invited all of us to restaurant. It was very surprising because Anatoly was known not only as a great player, but the man who doesn't like to spend money for let's say it's not his habit to invite some people to restaurant.
Okay.
Let's say so.
Yeah, that's a diplomatic way of saying it. Go on.
Yeah. So everybody was absolutely shocked with this invitation. Okay, but almost everybody agreed. Besides Mikhail Podgaets, he knew his boss very well. And he knew that if something will go wrong, he will lose everything. So he stayed in the hotel, and we went to a restaurant, and we spent a few hours in very nice atmosphere with wine, not with vodka, but with wine. And the next day, he won. He won, okay, with the help of luck, but he won. So this was very interesting experience for me. But after that, I never had the possibility to be his second one more time because, okay, after this I believe it was his not last, but one of the last big successes.
Yeah, it also sounds like you were maybe a little, I don't know if confrontational is the right word, but a little bit more willing to push back against the way he did things probably than some of his younger assistants. And obviously someone of that stature, a lot of people can be deferential. So do you think that might have impacted the fact that you didn't get a chance to work with him again?
No. I believe that he never played matches anymore. I believe. I'm not sure, but
okay. So I mean that's some incredible perspective. Thank you for sharing those stories. We've got to talk about some more players. So of course, you mentioned this young Super GM earlier, but could you talk a little bit more about what the experience was working with GM Anish Giri?
Yeah, it was very pleasant walk, and it was very pleasant, and I can say it was happy time for me to walk with Anish, because it was a walk I dreamed about. Maybe I didn't know before, but it was my dream to walk with young, very talented and clever boy. So it was very good time. He was a very strong grandmaster at the time we started. We met each other. I invited him to Sakar team in 2013, and then he, or maybe not him personally, but in few months, Dutch Federation invited me to be his coach. He was very strong grandmaster. I believe that he had 27, 30, something like that. But he was in kind of depression, because sometimes it happens when you are young and you have habit to progress very quickly. Sometimes you have to stop, because it's not possible to go ahead without some stops. And it was time when he wasn't in depression, but okay, it was a kind of the results stopped. He didn't progress anymore. So we started to walk. Of course, I studied his games. It was also very interesting business, because I expect something completely different. When I watched some of his game for the club, I thought that he is very, very dynamic, very attacking player. But in fact, it was just the opposite. And of course, we started to walk, and it was very interesting. And it has happened that it was very, very successful. Not immediately, but step by step, he progressed. And as I told you in the beginning, he reached the third position in world ranking, and he qualified by rating. It's very important. By rating, he qualified to candidates in Moscow, and he played very well in Moscow. Okay, he has made 14 draws, and of course it sounds funny, but in fact he played very well. He had winning chances in few games, and in case he was a little bit more lucky, he had good chances to qualify for the match. But the lack of experience, the lack of self-confidence didn't help him. And after this, after Moscow, we stopped our cooperation. But it was very good time. For me, as a coach, maybe it was the best time.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the book, you talk a little bit, and as you just mentioned, he had an incredible opening knowledge, very broad based and deep. And obviously he's an incredible player in all aspects of the game to be a top 10 player, but you felt that he wasn't as strong once the opening came to an end. So, and you probably caught wind of this, but he and Magnus Carlsen had a little bit of a back and forth where Carlsen gave a nice plug to your book in an interview with Jan Gustafsson of Chess24. And then Giri responded and said on Twitter, upon Carlsen's advice, I decided to read the chapter about myself in this modern classic, a must-buy, referring to your book, Coaching the Chess Stars. And Anish says, turns out I play significantly worse once my computer preparation ends. Now I just need a good coach to fix that minor issue in my play. Anyone. So I don't think this is entirely serious, but
I also it's at least it's a half a joke, or maybe a 70% joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to tell with him. I mean, not that I know him at all, but just like his general demeanor on Twitter.
Yeah.
So is he?
I believe that there was half a joke from Carlsen's side also.
Yeah. I mean, generally
it was a little bit like trolling,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, your English is amazing. You know the word trolling.
Yeah.
But generally, have you heard any feedback from Anish Giri or Wesley So or anyone else that you wrote about, like directly? Have you heard from them?
Sorry?
Have you heard directly from any of the people that you wrote about in this book? Have you gotten any angry phone calls or anything like that? Or
No.
That's
no
good.
angry calls. No angry calls. But no positive answers either.
Okay. Well, better neutral than negative. Although your job is to portray your experience. So that's sort of the most important thing. And getting to this dovetails into a discussion of the next player that you had the great privilege of working with, which is another Super Grandmaster, Wesley So. So what was that like, Vladimir?
It was absolutely different experience. Absolutely different experience. Some friend of me, I believe 1 month or something around this. After we stopped our cooperation with Anish, he called to me and thought about this possibility to work with Wesley So. Of course, it was it sounded very, very, very interesting, but the problem was that I had to work via Skype, and I was not sure that it can help. Because it's not like you are working with a player, let's say 2400 via Skype. Of course, it's grandmaster of extra class. So, but okay, we agreed to have 10 sessions by Skype and then to see. And somehow it worked. I don't know how, but it worked. It worked. We knew each other. We have met a few times in vacancy, but we didn't talk, and okay. But something this good atmosphere appeared between us, and his very clear native talent. I mean, Wesley. one of very few in history of chess.
Wow.
I mean clearness, maybe, Anand, maybe, Carson, without any help, without trainer, without chess atmosphere. The chess atmosphere is very, very important. Let's say in Soviet Union, chess atmosphere was existed, and you played strong tournament, you communicated strong chess player, you exchanged by ideas. So it was very important for growing up chess boy. But he was born in Philippines. Philippines is not a chess country. He was always alone, but he reached 27, 50 or something like this without any help. So it was very real pure chess talent, but without school. And as it appeared, he has a holes in his chess education. Real holes. He just didn't know this or this,
So what would be an example? Can you think of anything that?
No. It's very difficult to explain on fingers,
Right.
It's sometimes we analyze the game, and I understand that he just didn't hear about this. He doesn't know about this. But it's very primitive. Everybody knows this. But he doesn't know. He feels everything, and of course he understands immediately what you say to him. So somehow he made a huge progress. And when with these 10 sessions, we have had 10 sessions, 3 hours each.
Oh wow, long sessions.
Yeah, and then we started new 10. And then from the beginning of the 2017, we have made a contract for the year. And so in 2017, we worked on constant base, let's say. But and he progressed very quickly and astonishingly. He won. He had very, very high rating, but normally he didn't win tournaments. But when we started to work, he started to win tournaments. He won few tournaments in a row. But then we met during this Grand Chess Tour in Paris and in Leuven. And something happened. Maybe it was a mistake. I was sure that I need to see him, to talk, to explain directly, not only via Skype. But maybe with Wesley it was a mistake, and something broken in this atmosphere. And then he started to play badly. And of course, our cooperation lost. I don't know how to explain positiveness, let's say. And in few last months, in fact, we almost didn't work together, and he had very, very, very bad time. And only now he started to play well again.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason. Maybe just because he's very strong. Now he's again in good shape, but he doesn't win the tournaments. Okay, we have
right now only Magnus does. So
yeah, he wins everything.
Yeah.
so it's very difficult to win the tournament. But in 2017, Wesley won even with Carson, but
Yeah.
Carson wasn't so successful as now.
Yeah, speaking of Anish Giri, he had a funny comment in the past week about how we might need to wait for Magnus to get old at this point. We being top players, because he's just reaching a historic level.
Yeah. Okay. Now, of course, Carson is the first, but who is the second? It's very difficult to say. There are few seconds.
Yeah, the next candidate cycle should be very interesting.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you would select as the favorite, or is it everyone just too close and too much time before it happens?
No, I guess I wouldn't be very original. I guess that favorites are Caruana and Dingligen.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And just finishing up on the Wesley So topic. So I saw an interview where he mentioned that he found out that you were writing. It was a chess.com interview. He found out that you were writing about your experience coaching, and he sounded a little apprehensive about that. He mentioned that he's a very private person, and that he was it sounded like it was a little unsettling because he found out right before the candidates. Did you ever hear anything about that from his camp or?
No. Okay, of course, I've thought about this, but I tried to write. Okay, I tried not to write negative things.
Yeah, I noticed that. I felt like you were very fair to all of the players you mentioned, all of the players that you wrote about.
I believe that there are very private things, and I tried not to touch them. Private things about players I met and I mentioned. Of course, I know a lot of private things about Anish Giri. Much less I know about Wesley. But of course, I know him better than most of spectators or chess community. But I think that I didn't touch them. I tried not to touch.
Yeah.
Them. I don't know how it looks from a side.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it may have just been that he was worried about it, but in the final analysis, maybe it's less of a concern, or
Of course, I understand his worries, and I understand the worries of Anish before reading the book, before seeing the book. But in fact, I don't know their opinions about the books, and especially what I wrote about them.
Right. Well, I mean, anyone who's in the public eye, any criticism is always going to it's always going to be magnified in your mind. So even if like I said, I generally felt like you were fair and that you were generally quite positive about all of the players that you wrote about. But just anyone who's ever read a review of one of their books or of their podcast or whatever it is, like the negative comments always stick more. So I guess that's always going to be a risk. But I mean, I didn't see it as an issue from my perspective. So if you're up for it, Vladimir, I'd like to ask you about one more player and then talk chess books for a few minutes and then let you go. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Great. So I feel like it would be, since you had a chance to work with Super GM Vugar Gashimov, who unfortunately tragically died at 27, I just was curious if you could share a few memories of him for our listeners. I think some listeners may not be as familiar with him as some of the players we've just been discussing, but I feel like his legacy needs to be remembered.
Yeah, I didn't be his personal coach,
right? But he played on the Sokar team that you coached in the Azerbaijani. No. Just the Azerbaijani national team.
He didn't play in Sokar team.
Okay,
never.
My mistake.
Never, but he played for Azerbaijan team. He played for Azerbaijan team, and I don't know. It was very. It was few dramatic stories with him, connected with him. But I believe it's very difficult to tell this story shortly.
Okay.
So maybe we invite our listeners to read the book.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I definitely strongly recommend that. Yeah,
yeah. But of course, he was very talented player, very positive person, very sincere, and very very kind and very good person, very good boy. And of course, he was a very tragic person because he passed away so early. So it was a real drama for Azerbaijan and for me also, but also because somehow it was connected with me, and so it is very personal for me.
Okay. Yeah, and for listeners wondering, he had a brain tumor that
Yeah.
ultimately he wasn't able to
so
recover.
I describe I believe two dramatic stories connected with him, very very different, but I believe we are very short in time to describe.
Okay. So last but not least, Vladimir, I just would like to talk a little bit about chess improvement. Obviously, most of our listeners are not of the level of the students that you have had the privilege of working with. But if you have any favorite chess books or general advice you could give for people who are studying chess basically on the side as a hobby, what do you find to be the best improvement methods and resources?
It's very good question, but very difficult for me because I've read the most of chess books at the age of from 13 to let's say 30, and there is a funny story, but I believe maybe even a joke about the guy who wrote the book, and then he wanted to publish it, and he brought it to publisher, and the editor read the book, and of course he understood it's very, very weak. It's not possible to publish. And but how to explain it to author? And he started, have you read Tolstoy books? No. Maybe Pushkin? No. Maybe Dostoevsky? No. Maybe you should read these books. Why? The guy answered, I am the writer, I am not a reader. So I'm the writer, I'm not the reader.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you read your share of chess books, but
yeah, but okay, when I started to play chess, I have very few books, and every book I read, I don't know, many times. I knew it almost by heart. So I couldn't say it's good or not. They were the only books I knew.
Right. Yeah.
But then when I became stronger, let's say as a master or maybe something like that, two books made an very deep impression on me. Candidates Tournament in Zurich of Bronstein and 100 Games of Keres.
Okay.
And they helped me a lot. I believe that, I don't remember exactly, but I believe that this book of Keres helped me a lot to become grandmaster. And there are, of course, classical books of Mark Dvoretsky, my good friend.
Yes, who you got to work with a bit.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not a surprise, I believe, for the readers.
No.
Also, there is a little bit different approach, but also very interesting by Josef Dorfman. His method, personal method in chess, and there are a lot of books. It's very difficult to choose, and I cannot help.
Okay, well, those are some great recommendations. And Vladimir, this has been amazing. It's incredible to hear you talk about these players and to share some of your experiences. Obviously, you've had such a rich life in chess that I feel like we've only scratched the surface, but we'll leave it at that for now. So I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you. It was very interesting for me also.
Good. Glad to hear it. And I know you've said in the past that all of the 4 books that you've written, you've said when you wrote them, they were your last book. But if you ever write a 5th last book, I would love to have you.
I wrote already the 5th books. It was published already in Russian.
What is it?
I don't know how exactly to translate it, but direct translation is play like computer or not.
Okay.
So it's yeah, and now this book is in translation on English in English.
Okay.
So I believe in maybe at the end of this year it will it will appear.
Excellent. Well, we'll look forward to that. If anyone wanted to reach you or keep up with you, is there a way for them to do that? I don't know if you're available for coaching or if you prefer to keep your information private, but I just thought I'd ask.
No. I am still in working conditions.
Okay. Glad to hear it. So should I share the email address that I have, or is there a better way to keep up with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'll include that in the show description in case anyone wants to reach out with you. But I really want to thank you. This has been quite an honor for me, and I just love to hear your story. So thank you for taking the time, Vladimir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to everyone who helps make Perpetual Chess possible. Of course, that includes my producer, Matthew Passy, and Geert Vanderveld. Thanks for supplying the theme music, Geert. I also want to thank everyone who helps spread the word about the show, whether it be by writing a positive review on Apple Podcasts or another platform, by telling a friend, by stopping a stranger on the street, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Praising Perpetual Chess on all those things is helpful as well. But of course, most of all, I want to thank the people who help support the show financially. Without you guys, Perpetual Chess would not be possible. I want to give extra special thanks to the following people and entities: Chessable.com, Quality Chess Books, the Capital City Chess Club, the Apprentice Twitch channel, Andrew Bach, Austin Clough, Benjamin Handelman, Kathy Carr, Chad Oliver, Dan O'Hanlon, I am Dimitri Schneider, Faraz Sawaf, Greg Shahadi, Guven Manet, Jens Green, John Jernigan, John Cromarty, Kelly Palmer, Lone Pine Chess, the law offices of Stuart Katz, the Seattle Chess Club, Sydney Andrews, Thomas Tachenko, and Todd Bryant. I also would like to give thanks to my Patreon and PayPal Perpetual partners. They include, here comes the list: Andrew Waffler, Ace Vallega, Adam Ralph of ChessEngland.com, Adrian Gutierrez, Alex Pejas, FM Andrei Terakov, Benjamin Handelman, Bill Moran, Brad and Andy Rosen, Brett Howard Lynn, Brett Zeldo, Brian Mullis, Chad Hilton, Chris Balcom, Chris Flanagan, Chris Wainscott, Christopher Baumgartner, Christopher Chabris, Christopher Wood, I am Christoph Selecki, aka Chess Explained, Coach J's Chess Academy, David Kofer, Daniel Gell, Daniel Ginsberg, Dan Lucas of uschess.org, Daniel Naylor, Dave Saylor, David Cramley of Chessable.com, Dwayne Edmonds, Ethan Smith, I am Elect Donnie Ariel, Fox Valley Chess Club of Aurora, Illinois, Frank Tortoris, MD, Gary Andrews, Gary Lewis, Geert Vanderveld, Gerard Barta, Giovanni Russo, Greg Natel, Han Schut, Harish Srinivasan, James Benastia, Jason Woolham, Jeff Anderson, Jeffrey Martello, JJ Stranad, John Fernandez, John Fontaine, John Hartman, Justin Gardner, Jen Shahadi, Jerry Wells, John Thompson, GM Josh Friedel, Kare Christensen, WGM Katerina Nemtsova, Kelly Palmer, I am Kostya Kavutsky, Krishna Gopalakrishnan, Laura Belyavsky, Lucio Casada Silva, Martin Knudsen, Matthew Passy, Matthew Tedesco of SeattleChessMeetup.org, Miguel Arispide, my main man Moonmaster 9000, Mr. Mike Shahadi, Nate Salon, Neil Bruce, GM Pascal Charbonneau, Passy Passanen, Paul Bain, Paul Clarkson, Paul Sweeney, Paulo Santana, Peter Lux, Peter Merrifield, Randy Temple, Ricky Grijalva, Robert Steiner, Ryan Berg, Scott Doherty, Scott McKinnon, Steiner Lima, WGM Tatyev Abrahamian, Thomas Stanix, Tim Brennan of TacticsTime.com, Tim Seymour, Timothy Ha, Tomas Komanich, Tony Rotella, Tyron Price, Victor Vrancoulge, William Brock, William Peterson, FM Zhao Cheng of Chess1000.com, and last but not least, Zhivko Storyanov. Thanks everyone, and I will catch you all next week.